Coaches, we'll start with Sean Payton. The Broncos were 5-12 last year with the worst head coaching performance in the history of the NFL, according to Sean Payton. So with the talent they have, I mean, I don't want to get into specific win-loss here necessarily.
We're not going to do that yet.
We'll do that in 2 weeks.
Right.
3 weeks. Right. But, yeah, what does a successful season look like for the Broncos, you think?
In the playoff conversation, right, the last 2 to 3 weeks of the year, I'm with you. The AFC West, for me to just sit here and go, oh, if the Broncos don't make the playoffs, it's crazy. What? I mean, come on. I mean, this is a team that, did not have a great last year. And then, of course, they're in the AFC West and the AFC in general, and we know how good that is. And they were 5-12 last year. I think a successful year for my money would be, 500, maybe a little above 500. Russell Wilson has a year where we go, that was Russell Wilson again, right? I think that's all we're looking for, And then, like I said, just be in that talk, the conversation, but doesn't necessarily have to be in the playoffs, at least not for me.
Yeah, Sean Payton said to USA Today, I'm going to be pissed off if this is not a playoff team, which makes sense. He should be. Right?
He's like that. Well, that's what he is. I mean, and again, he took over the Saints in 2006, and they went to the NFC Championship game and lost to the Bears his first year. He's got great, that's where I don't buy the fact of, he was setting this up, this whole thing in case it goes bad. Because I do think he's a guy that he thinks he's the man, right? I mean, he thinks he's one of the great offensive minds in the sport. He knows he's one of the better head coaches in football, and he's expecting to win. So I take him for his word of that. He will be pissed if they don't make the playoffs.
Pete says in my ear, what's more important, getting to the playoffs or fixing Russ? Which almost in my head, I'm like, if they don't fix Russ and they get to the playoffs, that's pretty good. That either means like they were able to do it without a good Russell Wilson, or like Jarrett Stidham came in and was rocking it.
Well,
I don't know. They might have to do both, obviously.
They have to do both, but I think the fix of Russ is maybe more important than the playoffs itself.
Yeah.
I think so. One, to get that, okay, wait, it works between us. We can make this work. He buys into me. Okay, he's a good player. Okay, we don't have to worry about quarterback the next 4 or 5 years. We're good.
Yeah.
All right, now I can start to figure out my team around Russ. I know what he does good and bad, and we can start to formulate around that just like he did with Drew Brees. So, I think that, like you said, you'd like both, but if you had to err on playoffs or Russell Wilson, looking like the $47 million quarterback he is, that's, I think, probably the more important thing.
Yeah, it's probably more crippling.
Big picture.
It's more crippling if Russ is just a black hole on your team and your salary cap situation.
Exactly right.
It's hard to come back
exactly
from that.
Right. And then conversations of who's going to be our next quarterback? What are they going to do with Russ? There's a Russell Wilson problem. That to me would be a bigger issue.
Colts were 4-12-1 last year.
Yeah.
They got a new coach. Shane Steichen comes over from the Philadelphia Eagles. What does a successful year look like for them, you think?
I mean, to me, just like not being 4-13, not being 5-12. I mean, I again, the Colts are, and you heard, I don't know if you heard me say this, the only team I'd cancel out of the playoff conversation in the AFC, like clearly that I will cancel out, is the Houston Texans. I feel like everybody else has a chance.
The Colts could do it.
I would not be shocked. I'm not saying I'm probably not going to pick them to make the playoffs when we have to do that in 2 weeks, right? But, would this be a shock with a team that has a top 10-ish defense, right? A new system on offense that's going to catch their division by surprise, and other teams in the AFC by surprise a little bit, not having a great feel for it that way, right? The offensive line, if they can bounce back and get back to anything they were 2 years ago or close to that, that's where, I look at them to be, if they hover around or close to 500 and Anthony Richardson shows growth at the position, to me, that's all you want, right?
Yeah.
And I think that would be a success for Shane Steichen.
See, I disagree a little bit. I think they could be 4-12-1, but if Anthony Richardson looks like the real deal, I think that's a successful season for them.
Well, yeah, okay.
Same record.
Yeah.
They could have the same record.
I hear you. If he looks great, I think that'll certainly lessen the blow of the 4-13 season.
Sure.
Certainly. I mean, Sean Payton and Shane Steichen, part of the reason they got this job is why? Because they could coach quarterbacks. So people expect the quarterbacks to be good. So they got to make sure that looks good. That's the first thing. And, I'm with you there. But I think, overall team expectations, I I would think with what they got on their roster that if you told them right now, and I know they would never admit it, but like, if you were made 4-13, they'd be like, we're better than 4-13.
Yeah.
We can do better than that.
Well, they had to play without Jonathan Taylor the whole year.
Well,
so
yeah,
who knows?
We'll get into that.
We'll get to that.
Yes,
We'll get to that.
Right.
The Houston Texans, the team that you were writing off in the
Yeah,
AFC, they got
I know.
D'Amico Ryans, comes over from the 49ers as their defensive coordinator, added some draft capital. What was the record last year?
3-13-1. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they I mean, again, I just think C.J. Stroud looked good. Defense looks like, D'Amico Ryan's got these guys believing and flying around the football field a little bit, right? And the team is just showing progress. So I don't look at this one to go, they need to be around 500 to look at it. I mean, here is a team that I look at and go, if they're 6-11 and C.J. Stroud looks good and, our man Will Anderson is a force on the edge, and the defense is a pain in the ass. And in that 6-11, they were competitive, and in a lot of those games they lost, where it was, we lost the game by a field goal. They're 5 points here, 4 points there, whatever else. I think that's what you're looking for from the Houston Texans.
Derek Stingley comes back and looks good. Like
Sure, right, exactly right.
shutdown
Dameon
corner.
Pierce continues to, kick some butt in that Shanahan offensive scheme they have there. They got a decent O-line. It's better than decent. It's a good O-line. So I think that's what you're looking for. A team to win a few more games and be more of a pain in the butt against everybody.
And the Panthers, I did see our old guy, Matt Rule. He was at Big Ten Media Days. Looking
How was he?
relaxed.
Yeah,
He's
sure.
a good dude. He's a nice guy.
He's a great guy.
I like Matt Rule a lot.
He is. And,
He chatted
maybe
us up while we were there.
He's
and
maybe more fit for the college game. And,
he's
and
been
doing
so
that.
good at it.
I know he has.
Temple and then Baylor bringing them back. I think he can do it in Nebraska. I think they're already recruiting really well.
That's good to hear.
They love their football there,
Right.
too. So he is gone from Carolina. Frank Reich is in now. They had the number one pick there with Bryce Young. All right, so what were they last year? What was their record?
They were
last
7-10 last year.
year? That's right. They were on the cusp of the playoffs.
I know. They were hanging in there. That's where, again, I don't think the expectations are high. I wouldn't say playoffs. I would say, you lost your best offensive player in DJ Moore. You are starting a rookie quarterback. I feel like if they're in this ballpark of 7-10, 6-11, 8-9, and Bryce Young looks good. This is. I know people are going to look at it and go, they were close last year.
The last couple
so they
of
should
years,
be
it seems
close
like,
again.
Maybe not the 2 years ago, but early on in the season, it looked like, they might be something.
Yeah, right. It was.
Especially with that defense.
Exactly was. But so that's where their defense has got studs.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. And that's where they can be a pain in the butt.
I think if they're not in the playoff mix the last couple of weeks, it'll be
You think it'll be a disappointment?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Because that division's nothing to write
Yeah,
home about.
a weak playoff conversation about the Panthers around December. I think you're right. I think that's kind of what I'm saying. 7-10, 8-9. They came down the stretch, and if they won the last 4 games of the year, they might have got in, or 3 out of the last 4, and they would have gone in. That's at least how I kind of look at it.
And if Bryce Young continues to look short, that's a problem. Gotta get
I can't wait to see what that does look like. I know they're raving about him and his command and all of that.
Cool.
I never doubt any of that. Certainly, I want to see him on the field for real here.
The other half of the coordinator duo now coaching NFL teams for the Eagles, Jonathan Gannon. Gannon comes over to the Cardinals. They were 4-13 last year. What's a successful year for them? Kyler gets back on track.
I mean, I just think it's for them. It's very low. I mean, you could certainly sit here and start to go. I don't expect them to be a great team. They're telling you that Kyler's not going to be healthy, right? They got rid of some older players and trimmed the fat on their roster a little bit. They made all these moves in the draft, and we were sitting there in my barn for what?
Yeah.
For next year's draft. Yeah. So they're telling you they're not ready this year. I think you just want to see people buy into the culture of Jonathan Gannon, right? You want to see Jonathan Gannon. I think people question whether he's worthy or capable of doing this job at a high level. I think you just want him to make the fan base feel confident in that. And then you want to see Kyler Murray continue to grow, get back healthy, become a better leader, become more detailed, all the things we hear with Kyler Murray. I think that's all I look for there. I have the lowest expectations out of all these new head coach hires, I think, with that one right there, because I just think there's the most work to do. And, for lack of a better way, maybe they were the most dysfunctional going into this process.
Yeah, and all the coaches, they have different challenges.
You don't have to pay for your lunch anymore. That's when I know they'll be doing well.
When they don't have to pay
for their lunch, because
it's a free lunch.
Yeah, right. When their weight room's better, because they lost that whole NFLPA report card thing. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
They made players pay for dinner.
Yeah,
and things like that. Yeah, right. So those are the things that got to go away. I'm joking a little bit.
It was probably at making a profit.
Oh, that makes it better.
Yeah, getting a discount is a great deal.
Yo, thanks for watching, homies. I appreciate it, as always. The NFL season is right around the corner, so now it's your turn to hit subscribe to Chris Simms Unbuttoned. If you want to get all the training camp battles, preseason film review, playoff predictions, and much, much more, you know where to find it. It's right here, Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Please subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Peace out, homies. See you soon.